What is up, you guys? Sage here. Fear sharpens listening. Make sure that you're listening to the right things and you don't fall for the wrong propaganda. But stay skeptical, stay paranoid, stay processing everything for yourself, and don't just take people's opinions at first hand. Always analyze why they want you to believe what they want you to believe. And I think if you can do that, then we can work our way through this rough patch that we are going through in general as a nation. uh, I think across the world right now is not a very great time. I mean, we may be on the brink of a third world war. I mean, and there have always been talks about this, and I've kind of avoided the topic because I don't want to be a part of the fear mongering, etc. But I feel at this time, this is recorded on Sunday, and so Donald Trump just made his announcement this morning of what he had done after putting out the tweets. He addressed the U.S. and informed people about what he had done, about the airstrike that they struck on. They struck in a few critical targets. Uh, Apparently, the mission was successful, and there are a few more targets, which is not a very great thing to hear. That there are still a few more targets yet, because it is kind of edging with that third world war that people have been talking about. And the tricky thing about the situation is where Russia falls into this entire thing, because they would probably side with the Iranians, and that doesn't put the world in general in a very decent position, because then you'd find either a BRICS versus NATO situation in which NATO would most probably, you would think, would have a very great advantage. Makes you question a lot of things about, like, outside of that, it, the happening of this thing and the Israeli leader coming out and saying America's done a great thing, America's done what no other nation's able to do. Obviously, there are questions about the conspiracy theories having to do with Israel's control and influence over the U.S., among many other things. And so, all I have to say, right, I'm not here to give my opinions on what's going on and whatnot, but briefly, in case anyone's curious, um, I believe Trump's strong, and he does have America's interest at heart. Uh, Based on what I could tell from the announcement, I could tell that there was a a heaviness in that he is processing what has just happened, and he's hopeful that it does turn out the way that he wants it to turn out. But there is an obvious chance that things could go terribly wrong. And if things do go terribly wrong, then you end up in a situation um, where we may be headed into a third world war. But if we do end up in a situation where Iran just puts its arms down and gives up the nuclear weapons quietly, as they're more critical, as Trump described it, the more critical, more dangerous nuclear weapon sites are the ones that have been attacked. And so, even if they wanted to really retaliate in like a real way that could seriously hurt the U.S., they are not in a position to do so right now and win the war or do serious damage. It's not really a question of can they win or not, but it is a question of can they do something that could seriously, like, could they hit the White House, for example? Could they hit Washington? Could they hit some critical points? A lot of, have a lot of lives lost, etc. And is that something they'd be interested in doing? Now, based on the people on the ground uh, in Iran, based on polls that I've seen being taken around that, the people themselves don't really want war. It would be the people in power who are enforcing such a thing, and I don't think that's very good for them in terms of the longevity of this whole thing. If the Iranian people were 100% for war and they believed in what Iran was doing in terms of the way that they're governing things, and if they believe in yeah, in the way they're governing things in terms of if their economy was thriving at the moment, etc. Like right now, I saw something being done. They were checking the GDP of Iran, and they were literally weighing it against the GDP of Walmart. Walmart comes out on top. Walmart is at a cap of like 600 billion. In terms of their netting like 600 billion, or the gross profit is 600 billion, and Iran's at like 400 billion. Walmart alone. But if you look at the natural resources, Iran's like fourth or fifth in the world. First being Russia, like it's actually above China. I think China's like sixth and Iran's fifth. But if you look at, obviously, the economies are doing two very different things. So if Iran is being run in a very different way, it could be a very big global powerhouse. And if you look at their positioning on the map, there's a lot of stuff that could be getting done through Iran, and it's a very well located place. A lot of stuff going on, and so obviously the people are not happy about the state of the economy at the moment. They're not happy about their governance. They're looking for different leadership, etc. Now this happens. Um, I don't think the people would rally behind and would be fully behind the charge of like, oh, let's clap back at America. Let's attack back. I don't think that that's the position that they're going to be coming from, and so as leadership, I don't feel Iran would be in a strong position to attack back. Number one, because their major weapons have been taken out, and number two, because politically they don't seem to be in a good spot right now. Although there have been statements from the U.S.'s side saying we're not looking for you guys to change regimes and for different people to be in power. We just don't want you having nuclear weapons. Which, what happens to you politically, none of our business. Um, so yeah, very very interesting stuff going on in the world right now. If you were not informed at all about any of the stuff that went on, that's just a little bit. I'm also not very very heavily into politics as such, but with more major issues, I like to keep myself updated. Like to know what's going on, um, and I like to get it from more independent media. Your podcasters, etc., who are just solely interested in this. People who have studied political science all throughout, have doctorates in political science. People who are just major media brands, and have a vested interest in being an independent media brand that people can go to. I feel like the interests are aligned because my interests obviously know exactly what's going on without having any angles being thrown at me. Outside of people's obviously biases, just based on what they believe. I'd like you to, number one, report what's going on, and then you can tell me what you believe. Because I don't mind that either. So obviously the numbers are the numbers, but then there are these things to look into as well. So what I wanted you to take home is, if you weren't informed, here's a little bit of information. I'm not a heavy, this is perhaps something that I will get more into as I grow older. I'm not looking to go, that's politics is not my main thing. I'm really not looking or hoping to make something of myself in the game of politics. I am, however, someone who thinks of themselves as a leader, and if nearing the twilight of my career, or rather nearing the end of it, and the let's say the second, or say the third quarter, they're on the third quarter or the fourth, fifth of my life. If politics comes up and the people need a leader and the opportunities come up, I would be interested in doing something like that, because I'm a leader at the end of the day. I'm not going to sit around and do nothing while the people need something to be done, so but that's as far as my interest goes. I'm not going all in on politics. That's not something that I want the channel to be about. That's not, because that's not something that I'm about. But as you can see, today we are covering something that is leading heavily into being something that's politics related, because that is a part of my life as well. And I think at the end of the day, what the body of this content will be is a summation of just what goes on in my life or of my personality. And so you will find that my training will come through. You'll find, maybe even if I just make examples of myself in the gym, or when I tell you that certain thoughts come through while I'm in it, stuff like, then you'll know that, okay, he lives an active lifestyle. When I tell you about studying this, that you'll know that that's going on. When I tell you about the business, when I was heavy, I'm into the business, getting clients and doing all that. That's what I was talking about. And so now, obviously, I'm into politics, and these things are happening politically, and we need to be very aware of them. If things are happening spiritually, that's what I'm going to talk about. If things are happening relationship wise, that's what I'm going to talk about. So right now, we are in the spot where there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear going around. There's a lot of fear mongering for a very good reason, because there is a lot going on politically. And although I am very big on just stay in the cut, keep doing what you're doing. If you're in the gym, stay in the gym. If you're studying, stay studying. If you're in business, stay working on your shit, because no one's gonna work on your shit for you, regardless of who you vote for, who you believe in, whatever the case is. But there are situations that are going to make building your empire easier, and there are situations that are going to make building your empire more difficult. And right now we're in hard times, or we're rearing into hard times. But the awesome thing about hard times is that they build strong people, and strong people in turn build the good times, which build the weak people, which get us around to which get us back around. But in times like these are difficult times, but times that are difficult come with opportunity. And at the end of the day, it does come down to you going out for you and your team and your community, and banding together. More than we are together, we are a band of communities. And if you look after your people, I look after my people, and our people look after each other, then that's how we build a fantastic society. So, from my part, what I wanted to come in with and leave you with is, don't fall for the fear mongering. Don't fall for the people telling you what to think without fully delving into why they would want you to think certain things. All right. I want you to be very aware and conscious of who's telling you what and why they're telling you that. And with that being said, yes, stay skeptical, stay paranoid, but also stay positive. Have a positive attitude coming into this, and know that you're going to be in a very good position coming out of it. Again, if you keep your head down and you take care of yourself, first and foremost, you take care of your family, you take care of your team, then the future looks bright. Believe it. Deep in your heart, understand that if you are focused, positive, and then in a good position, the future does look bright. I have been Sage. If you did in fact enjoy today's video, please do hit that subscribe button. Standing on business. Signing out.